Yeah, I used to produce, direct. I don't know if you could call it acting, 'cause I don't know. I was in TV shows that I made on Channel 29 and 77 here in Seattle, Washington for years, right up the street on the 98th and Aurora. And it was really cool. I mean, when I first started doing shows, I couldn't get anybody to come on. I don't blame them. So I'd get homeless people and stuff, and people that needed money, and I'd like pay them money. You know, if at the end of the show, I'd give them a little money, you know, as promised. And I did that for about 4 shows, and then people started like showing up at the studio and stuff, and it was kind of scary at first when you have people showing up at the studio and you don't know who they are. And they want to be on, and you don't know what they're going to say. But that is basically the Second Amendment, the right to constitutional right to free speech at work, big time. And so it was a great ongoing thing. And then they got a little carried away and started showing all the X-rated stuff and doing a bunch of X-rated stuff and all that. And then I think that kind of ruined it for everybody else. They used an excuse to pull the plug. So basically they just pulled the plug on it, and they sold the house where they used to film and pulled the plug on the public access. And I guess from what I understand from a person that didn't really want to be disclosed as giving me the information, he mentioned that the city of Seattle just started embezzling the money a different way. They had a different way to spend our money for our constitutional right to free speech. From some people that I know, you can upload tapes, like I could probably do with this one, but I probably won't. You could upload tapes and now and broadcast whatever you want. So I guess you have to pay a membership fee and stuff like that. But when I found that out, I started crying. It was heartbreaking, you know, to see that right get squished. And he also stated that there was like a YouTube and stuff like that where this will probably end up, and that's like a public access, and yes, it'll end up on YouTube and everything, and it'll get about 3 or 4 views. Like I don't know, not to brag or whatever, but just like I watch some, like I'll see some shows with like only 10 or 20, 30 people have watched it, you know, on the view meter where they rate you, and it'll be a really good show. And then I'll see shows with 9, 10, 12 million views, and in my opinion they suck, and most people's opinion they'd suck. And so it's basically because people can like buy views and stuff, so that's not really free speech, or it is free speech that I can upload this thing, but somehow I just don't think it gets directed, or there's just so much material that they upload and everything that the odds of anybody actually seeing it are probably pretty thin, because they're bombarded by so much stuff that they can't actually get to it, what they're looking for. But that's the way it goes. So like when I was doing it, I had right around I think it was 500,000 people at any given time, and so that was a pretty good deal. And quite a few people watched it, and I had people call in, and then I had like emergency callers trying to bypass the people that I was talking to. I was getting so many calls back then, it was confusing me and the operators that work for the whatever companies. But yeah, so that's sad. That's kind of the end of public access. So here we are at Green Lake, walking around Green Lake. So that was the end of public access. Kind of sad. I don't know where things will go as far as that goes. The individual told me that was occurring in other places around the country, that basically the Second Amendment is squashed by corporations. like it has been for years, but we just had a little window there where we could actually upload and do live stuff. You know, it was unedited. When you got a call, it was from the general public. It wasn't rigged. My shows weren't rigged. Some people had, like, you know, they'd have all their buddies call or something, but I just took calls directly from people, the general public, whether they were on drugs or not. You know, that didn't matter to me. They had a voice. Back then, it was before pot was legal in Washington, so they most of it, well, a lot of people would call in to try to get in an attaboy for legalizing pot and all that stuff. And eventually that happened, but I don't know if that was a result of public access or not. But someone wised up and legalized that, at least. If they could legalize all the other stuff, that'd be cool. We wouldn't have the collateral damage, you know, basically. So. Nice view from what you can see of it. This is just a 750. You know, if it comes out and all that, the wind doesn't mess it up. It's just your basic 750. Nothing fancy type of upload. Looks like we have some actual sunlight going on over there. It's a rare thing here. So we'll actually real birds and real trees. I mean, in the city. A moment of peace in nature. So it's too bad that they sold the house on 98th and Aurora and they quit doing all that stuff. It's just really a bummer. There's a documentary, I guess, some guy's making about it. He didn't have me in it. My ego told me that I wanted to be in his movie, but I guess apparently my stuff wasn't good enough to make it into his movie. But